Welcome to Speak. I'm Joy Taylor here with Super Bowl champion Keyshawn Johnson, NBA Finals MVP Paul Pierce, and Fox Sports NBA insider Rick Bucher. It's draft day.
Yeah.
Man, it is, huh?
That's what's wrong with y'all sport, though.
A lot of memories.
That's what's wrong with y'all sport. I had no idea it was draft day until
No, I knew it was draft day. I knew it was draft day. I mean, ours ain't as big as NFL, but I remember it was draft day.
Well, draft day, lots of teams will be making moves, but specifically the Celtics have already been making moves. On Monday, Boston shipped Jrue Holiday to Portland for Anthony Simons on Monday, and yesterday, just before the end of our show, the Celtics traded away Kristaps Porzingis in a 3-team trade that netted Boston George Niang and a second-round pick. That's 2 pieces from the Celtics championship run that won't suit up in green and white this season. So we were predicting some moves being made, but it's happening pretty fast. Paul, have your Celtics gotten better or worse after these trades?
Man, they definitely got worse. I mean, when you trade away Porzingis, a borderline all-star, and a player like Jrue, some leadership and the clutch gene that he brought to this team and the locker room presence, they got worse. But we all understand what's going on in Boston. You know, they're at a position to where there's new ownership. They're cutting costs. They're playing the long game for a year from now after Jason Tatum gets fully healthy and recovers, hopefully by the end of next year. So he'll be back probably the following season. Who knows how his recovery is going to go. You know, they've traded themselves and put themselves in actually a good position because I think in another year they'll try to play for some cap space maybe. They'll try to gather some pieces to maybe add some depth. But this is some trades that I'm seeing for the long run because there's no way you trade Porzingis for, Jang and, a couple second rounders and Jrue Holiday for an expiring contract. So for better or for worse, it is what it is. And we know we're not going to be competing for a championship probably next year. So we're playing the long game.
We know you are in it with the Celtics for better or worse.
For better or worse, I'm in it.
Yeah, it is worse. Let's just put it that way. It's worse. But look, Paul mentioned Porzingis and Jrue Holiday. And it's the long game for the future. There's no question about it. But it's just not those two. It's also Tatum not going to be available to them next year. So you're missing 3 guys off your championship run and your championship team. So next season, as it comes up in 25, 26, they're not going to, they'll just be whatever. They'll be a playoff type team, and that's pretty much it. But you could smell the luxury tax. You could smell all of those sort of things, and they wanted to shave some of that off to set things up for the future 2 years from now when they get into free agency or trade for somebody that got a big contract. You can see it. It's not that difficult to see. I don't know how competitive they're going to be.
They're going to be pretty competitive still.
Of course they are to you. But I don't know how competitive. It looks like the Lakers might be more competitive than them come next year just based on the way the roster's constructed now.
That would be extraordinary.
The Lakers got to get in shape first.
That would be amazing if the Lakers were.
I just had to throw that in there.
Once the Lakers get in shape, we don't have no problem getting in shape. They talk about their offseason moves is getting in shape. That's great.
Rick, have the Celtics gotten better or worse?
No, they've gotten worse. What I'm really curious about is if they would have made these same moves if Jason Tatum hadn't suffered what is essentially a season-ending injury for next year. Because they had to make some financial moves. That was the bottom line. We knew that, and we still need to see what's going to happen with Al Horford, but we knew that Jrue Holiday or Kristaps Porzingis were going to be moved because otherwise they're paying some $500 million.
In luxury tax?
And not just luxury, in total.
No, that's in salary.
In total.
In salary total.
Right?
Yes.
But even the top teams, that's double what you would normally pay. So they had to do this. This is not about getting better, though. This is about survival because not only did you need to move those guys because of the financial aspect of it, but Kristaps Porzingis hasn't been healthy. Jrue Holiday was not healthy at the end of last year. So you're at least getting some guys back in Anthony Simon and George Niang who are going to be on the floor. At this point, you need to be able to put a team on the floor for the Boston Celtics with Jason Tatum out and not knowing the availability of Jrue Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis on a full-time basis. So, but they were going to be worse without Jason Tatum, period. They needed to make financial moves. Where they go from here and how fast they get back, that's going to be the big question. Because I don't know that I see George Niang and Anthony Simons as key pieces to the next championship iteration of the Boston Celtics.
So, Paul, you think this is happening just because of the new ownership?
Yeah, I do, because every new ownership, Joy, if you look around the league, think about what Dallas did. They had new ownership, they instantly made a splash. We're getting Luka, it's like that in all sports, even in business. We're gonna do it our way. You know, they're gonna, hey, I wanna make my imprint on what this team is gonna be when it's time for us to get to a championship. I can say I had my DNA all over that. You know what I'm saying? If you notice that. Like when first ownership changed, when I was with the Celtics in my third year, immediately traded everybody. Antoine, all our building blocks. We just went to the conference finals. We was a playoff contender. We was a piece away. Sold the team, traded everybody. So this normally happens when new ownership comes in. Same thing happened in Phoenix. I was telling Key about that. They traded for KD, got a new coach, did all those different things. And so it's kind of normal, just like when new ownership comes in, that they want to make changes right away.
And that's true, because Paul was the general manager at the time.
I knew it was coming.
He was trying to trade me.
But
you held so long for that. That was
because
impressive.
I wanted him to finish his point.
Yeah.
But he is 100% correct. Guess who got traded when a new owner came to the New York Jets?
Joseph Keyshawn Johnson?
Joseph Keyshawn Johnson.
New owner, yeah.
Immediately, he was there 2 months, have never met him, didn't even have a conversation with him. Next thing you know, trading block.
Gone. Yeah, I mean, I think they got younger and cheaper. They definitely didn't get better. And this was, I don't know that this much was expected, but we knew that there were some moves coming. And the Tatum injury is absolutely playing a role in this. I know that the new owners may have made some moves, but I have a hard time believing that they would have just blown everything up had Tatum not gotten injured, even if they had lost that series. If we knew that they were coming back as a whole from essentially what they were from the championship season, maybe you run that one more time before you blow it up. But now you're in a situation where it's going to be extremely expensive. You know you're likely not getting Tatum back for the whole of next season. So when he is back, what is the team going to look like? What are you going to pay for this next year? Where, yes, they'll still be competitive, but there won't be any expectations of the Celtics this year.
Yeah.
And as they're currently constructed, if they do end up making it to the finals, that would be pretty unexpected. They would have overachieved based off the fact that they just lost Porzingis and Drew Holiday, and they won't have Tatum for all of next year.
The crazy thing, though, if we go back and we remember, when they bought the team, the noise started coming out immediately about the luxury
money.
tax and the money and blowing things up.
Well, I mean, it's
And Tatum wasn't hurt,
it's a pretty expensive bill.
Tatum wasn't even hurt at that point.
Yeah.
They had already started that conversation about doing something with
because Paul was getting mad why they already trying to break us up.
Yes.
That's right.
So it was already in their mind.
And it drove the Dallas Mavericks decision on Luka Doncic. You had brand new ownership, and they were looking at the prospect of paying him $345 million on his extension, and he was injured for the better part of the year, and they're like, do we really want to invest in that? But
didn't they buy the team the year they went to the championship?
Yes, they had bought it prior to that.
The championship.
But then, brand new to the situation, they lose in the finals, right? They lose in the finals, and everybody's pointing fingers at Luka not being in shape and not defending. And then he comes back the next year, he's in the same shape and not defending and gets hurt. And they're like, oh, and we're going to pay this guy $345 million? I don't think so. But, Paul, I'm curious because I think that if we really look at all the dominoes, the first domino that fell in all this was the New York Knicks basically taking it to the Boston Celtics. I mean, that essentially, that's what that steel-toed boot is what kicked them in this direction.
These talks was already talked about before all that.
Before we even played the Knicks, huh?
Before we played the Knicks. But you know what I'm seeing, though? I'm seeing us, and I'm seeing not only Boston, but I'm seeing the league. The league is changing right before our eyes because with the money getting so out of control with these max contracts, I can see teams start building their team around one superstar with a bunch of role players to where they only have one max or super max contract and this the rest kind of in between contracts. They're going to go away from paying super max, and then almost max. Like those deals, it looks like the way that the league is going, it's going to go back to like you got that one superstar. I think super teams are dead. You're not going to see a big three to where you got 3 franchise players, 3 all-stars making big money because you're not going to be able to sustain that. The money is that you can't afford to pay 3 players $60 to $75 million a year and have a roster built out that can compete just because you're heavy at the top. So I think what Indiana showed us and what you showed us with OKC, that you have to draft well, you have to find that superstar, and you have to get a bunch of players that don't need the max contract, but you have to have that one superstar.
Who don't need the max contract?
All of them need it, but they ain't going to get it. And look, if Luka Doncic can get traded, it's going to be a lot of big names, I think, man, coming to my head.
Well, speaking of that, should they consider moving Jaylen Brown?
No, I don't think they should consider moving Jaylen because, listen, this is the Boston Celtics, and we pride ourselves in being competitive and playing for championships. And Jaylen is a big part of that, him and Tatum. So, like, moving forward, you know, Jaylen is already probably a couple years into his deal. Jason's kicks in. Yeah, starting next year, Jason kicks in next year. I think you keep these 2 guys. I mean, because they already shown that they can win together. Their formula is what it is. So I don't think you should trade Jaylen Brown. But like I said, when you trade Luka Doncic, other owners look at that and say, hold on, we're not going to be frowned upon from our fans if we trade them and then we're still competitive. You know, and we can still be a championship contender. So I personally don't think so, but I wouldn't put it past them.
You can't trade everybody. I mean, somebody's got to play for you. You can't just keep getting rid of your top dogs. I mean, he's only 27, 28 years old.
29.
29.
Yeah.
About to turn 29. 29. He'll be 29 in October.
That's still relatively young, considering where these guys are playing and how long they're playing into their careers.
Yes.
So when you look ahead, you know, you don't want to throw in the towel. Now, if you ask me in 2027, because I'm assuming Tatum misses 25, you bring them back together in 26. I mean, he misses 25, 26 season. You bring them back after that and see what they are. And at that point in time, then if there's something on the table where you say, well, maybe we move on from Jaylen, or maybe we move on from Tatum at this point in time, but not right now. You got to be competitive.
Yeah.
You know, you got to be able to make the fans, like Paul say, you got to put the butts in the seat, and people got to be at least happy.
And it's not out of the realm they could get to the finals next year. Listen, look what Indiana did. Look what Indiana did. They didn't have a superstar, as we like to say. They had a bunch of guys who were very good and understood their role. Boston can have that. They can build that out and surround that around Jaylen Brown and Derek White. Would you say that Derek White and Jaylen Brown is better than Indiana's top 2 players? Probably so, right? Yes. Derek Brown,
like
Jaylen Brown has been a second team All-NBA player.
I might give you that.
You know what I'm
but
saying?
then I'm not going to say that the next 3 or 4 are the same as Indiana.
Well, yeah, maybe the roster isn't as deep, but they're still going to be competitive next year.
No,
Who would be the next?
Should they consider moving Jaylen Brown?
No, I don't. But you guys bring up an interesting point, and Key keeps saying that, like, you have to have somebody and you have to be competitive. I don't know this ownership. I don't know if they're thinking that way. I don't know if they bought this thing and they're thinking.
You want to just throw in the towel?
Well, no. Tear it down. I don't want to spend a lot of money. I'm not going to play. If their thinking is we're not going to play for a title next year anyway with Jason Tatum out, why spend any money? Why not just be like, just start over? I wouldn't do it because Jaylen Brown isn't just a centerpiece to this team. Jaylen Brown is a Finals MVP. Jaylen Brown is a champion. Like, he's done enough that I hold on to him. And I actually want to see, what is Jaylen Brown without Jason Tatum? Like, how much can he step into taking charge of this team in a bigger way? We haven't seen him without Jason since his rookie year, when he was just a contributing player on that team. So that's what I'm curious about. And then we see once Tatum comes back. So I would say I'm going to take a year, but he's 1 year into a $285 million 5-year deal. And if I'm new ownership, I'm looking at that, and I may give it a year. But to Paul's point, I think teams are, like, you still have Jason Tatum on a max deal, right? I think you look at this for a year and go, can we afford to have all of that money spent on 2 players, or do we need to diversify?
See, it should be a 2-year. It should be a 2-year project. This year without him, in the year with him, because you're not.
What, Tatum and Brown?
Yeah, you get
back
this year
together again.
Back together again
But
because
we've
they've
already
shown
seen that, haven't we?
Not the new owners.
Okay. Well, I go back watch tape. Watch game tape.
But you're not getting Jaylen Brown and Tatum is just not walking through the door. You don't just give up your players, man.
But
you can't just keep
let's
doing that.
No,
you
no, no.
can't.
In the
You
middle
are
of
you
their prime.
under.
No,
you're
no,
in the
but
middle of your prime. You already under the tax problem. That's
Understood
over
that.
with now.
Understood that. But this is the thing that I've always felt with Tatum and Brown is that they're not the ideal nucleus for a team, which is why they had to go and get a Drew Holiday and a Kristaps Porzingis and a Derek White and have all these pieces in order to be a championship team. Ideally, you want the Jokic, Jamal Murray model or the Draymond Green, Steph Curry model.
I mean, they went to the finals without those.
I was about to ask you, what was the 5 without those 2?
Well, we didn't have Drew. We went to the finals versus Golden State.
You didn't have
Drew.
Porzingis either.
No, we didn't have Porzingis.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
You still went to the finals.
I mean, Rick, you know, he doesn't know what he talks about sometimes.
That's
You
what
guys
I was
won.
literally.
You guys didn't win a championship
literally was about to
until you
say
got
that,
Drew
though.
Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis.
Yeah,
And then you got it done.
It helped them.
That
It
is
pushed
true,
them
but
over the
that
top.
is
That's
but
right, they
this
pushed him
team-
over the top.
this
But Porzingis
team
barely played.
was
though.
in
You
the
had
conference
Jason and
finals
Tatum
every year.
And
went to
couldn't
the
get it done.
finals.
That, like the
Well, it was
window
the-
of time that Tatum and Brown had where they were very successful, but ultimately couldn't
Look how
finish the
young
deal
they still
until you
are.
put all those other pieces around them and you became a really expensive team.
Look how young they are relative. How old is Jason Tatum? About to be 27
Yeah.
next year.
Yeah.
28 for Brown.
Okay.
So we talking about 3 years ago, they was 24 and 23.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that would have been the youngest team in NBA history to win it.
Okay, but it wasn't. And OKC, and funny, OKC was.
Yeah,
Second youngest.
second youngest.
Second ever. Yeah, I got to go back to Portland. Fair.
We can't make
Portland
sure
win in the 60s,
Rick can't be a
70s.
GM.
You covered
I was
them.
not there.
That's right.
I was
You
not
covered
there.
them. You covered.
I was not there.
Bill Walton and Company.
I was not there. I was not
Bill
even
Walton.
watching.
That's what.
All right, let's talk about the Los Angeles Lakers. Luka and LeBron have played 28 total games together since the blockbuster trade that landed Luka in Los Angeles. That included a first-round exit in the playoffs and some comments from head coach JJ Redick about how the team needed to be in championship shape. Well, apparently Luka got the message, and he's been focused on his conditioning this offseason, reportedly losing significant weight.
That man looked like he was lifting 1,000 pounds.
Did that look staged or did it not?
That was 1,000 pounds.
Did you get that?
How many
You don't
plates
think
was
he's gonna
that?
stop
You don't think he's really lifting it?
Damn, that was
He's
like,
lifting it, but he ain't going
that
all
was
the way.
1,000 pounds.
Yeah, but he.
Yeah.
I don't
You
care.
need
You
the
got to
full-
get
you
that
need
up.
full-
You got to
you need-
get
And you
that
can't
up.
see
depth, though.
And you can't see the
And
levers.
it's on one of those
care.
those things that kind of rotate.
That was
right.
for the
Little
gram.
bit.
You can't see the levers
For the
underneath.
gram, that was for the
for the
gram.
Move it up.
What are you talking about?
If I'm lifting that, I'm going to be dunking from free throw. No, seriously, dog, that's 1,000 pounds.
It's cute.
Man.
It's cute. And I like the fact
The
that he's
thing
doing
to
it.
do,
Yeah, I
if
like it.
people think that you are not in shape or that you're not focused, is to post workout videos.
Yeah,
online.
exactly.
Like that's what because obviously he wasn't working out before posting this
Man,
video.
hold on. This is
I would have been more
crazy.
impressed
I
if
need
he
to
was
go a
doing
little-
defensive
I'm
slides.
putting him. I'm going right now. I'm picking Luka for MVP. After
Oh,
this,
stop.
this is crazy.
Stop.
All right.
Okay, did you get that? Or we
That's
got that?
great.
Okay, can I stop?
How dangerous will your Lakers be with a motivated Luka?
Okay. Let me see if I can figure this out. Let me get it right for Joey. If Luka does, okay,
I know this.
for the first 2 weeks what he did for us when he came over from the Mavs for the entire season, connect the dots, then I think we'd be very dangerous.
What did he do?
Those first 2 weeks, Paul, he was a hustle face on the defensive end. Okay, he looked like he was excited to be a part of the Lakers organization because he was out to prove to the Dallas Mavericks and whoever was out there saying that he didn't play both ends of the floor, look at me. And he was active, handsy, he was moving around. If he can do that the course of the season, yeah, we're gonna be very dangerous.
So you're saying if he can put out the effort that he put out in the first 2 weeks of the season across the totality of the season, then you
we're gonna
guys will
be very dangerous. See how that works?
Yeah.
I did that pretty
So
good.
you're saying now he don't play with no effort?
I don't believe that he does on the defensive end. And at times, he gets lackadaisical even on the offensive side when things aren't going his way. At times, the first 2 weeks, we didn't see Luka turn to the refs. He didn't do none of that. as the season wore on, he started getting a little bit back into the Luka Dallas Dallas Mavericks type situation. And if he could just stay focused and do that little hustle face, we can be dangerous because we need him to play some effort. He can't be just a liability out there when they just switching and they know, oh, we getting ready to ISO this dude, switch up. We gonna handle this.
What do you think, Paul?
I just feel like too much is being put on Luka. I mean, for crying out loud, the man averages 38 and 8
but what difference
every year.
But Paul, if I'm giving you 30 and I'm giving up 27,
that's a +3. I mean, we good. We good.
No, we
winning.
not.
We winning.
No, we not.
Come on. That's a +3, Key.
No, I don't want that. I don't want that.
Why not? You don't want to win by 3?
I don't want that. I don't want that. No,
I don't. I mean, listen. We know Luka can win playing the style of well, he can get to a finals playing the style of basketball he plays.
But they also, you got to go back to Dallas though. The moves that they made, bringing in the players that they brought in.
Well, that's why my answer is it depends on how they build the rest of the roster around him and LeBron next year.
But I'm looking
Luka
at
is
it,
good enough to take a team to the finals.
When you ask me the question, the only thing I'm looking at is the roster as it stands right now. That's because that's all I can look at.
Well,
and that roster is not good enough.
And that roster is not good enough. Because no one's giving me their players. They're not helping me. We had a conversation, as the Lakers, there was some things that was floated out there at taking a look at Jaylen Brown. Boston ain't doing no damn deal with the Lakers.
Nope.
They not doing right, Rick.
I mean, the Mavs did.
Yeah, but that was something.
They thought they were.
That was some hocus pocus right there.
They still think they're going to win that.
You know, they did a deal with them, and then look, they ended up with the #1 pick.
It was some hocus pocus going on.
Yeah, it was like
It's Paul's
some crystal ball
stuff.
Yeah.
How dangerous will the Lakers be with a motivated Luka?
Because the roster is not fully formed for him, not that dangerous. But do we have a timestamp on that video? Because I've seen that video or read that story at least 5 times since Luka has been in the league.
That was AI.
He's losing weight. He's
But
he's in shape.
Let me ask you a question.
To your point.
Go ahead.
To your point, he gave it to you for 2 weeks. If he could only sustain it, that's the whole question.
I just need.
And it's not just him.
Not today, Paul. Come on. Man.
Yeah, Paul. Come on.
Come on, man.
Come on. You just want to do a pause now? Do a pause.
We don't do pause. We don't do pause.
I don't know
Okay.
Order in the court.
Whatever.
I'm saying that Luka averages 30. I don't know what else y'all need from him. Like, you want him to get skinnier?
No, you know what? I want him to be able to play
You want him
at
to
the
get
pace.
stronger? This is the problem Iverson had. They wanted him to practice. This man was the MVP. This man.
Oh, no, do
now.
not put Allen Iverson and Luka Doncic in the same sentence when it comes to effort.
This is high
Are you
level.
kidding me?
It don't matter. Somebody was complaining to Allen about practice. When he go out there getting 30.
The reason they was complaining to AI about the practice, though, is because his off-the-court stuff that everybody cared about.
This is the same thing.
They just wanted to say, well, you missed it on practice because of that.
It's the same thing. They say this narrative started with Dallas trading him.
What?
The man the narrative of him being out of shape and all of this.
No, it did not.
It did. It did start with Dallas.
No, it did not.
Why not?
Not with them
It was already
trading.
talked about in the finals. It's been talked
It
about.
started in Dallas, is what I'm saying.
Well, that's where he was playing.
It really started coming out like when he got traded. They was like the hookah.
It was already floated out there.
No.
Like, floating out there.
Man, how you make it to the finals? I'm rolling with Luka Doncic.
Paul, I'm rolling with him.
You have no
too.
choice.
He's a
mean I
top
don't have a
5
choice?
player.
You don't have a choice but to roll with
you
Luka. He's with your team.
No, I'm rolling with him, but I want him to do for us those first 2 weeks. Take it the course of the season.
But here's
just that effort.
Okay, but it wasn't just him. It wasn't just his effort. He shared the ball, right?
So that's
which
all
got everybody
part of
else.
it.
Which got everybody else hyped up.
That's all part of
right?
it.
But if he's going to share the ball, then he's got to do other things rather than dominating the ball and getting to a spot
get 8
and
assists
getting his
9
points.
and 10 rebounds. He got to do that. That's other things.
Why not?
That's other
We're
things.
talking about him being. We're talking about him being arguably the best player in the league. It's what
I'm saying nobody was mad when Shaq couldn't make free throws. What y'all?
Yeah, but Shaq
what
was
you
playing.
saying?
But Shaq was still
this is
playing
what I'm
deep.
trying to tell you. He's giving you this.
But Paul,
Stop asking for everything.
But
Why?
Y'all want the whole.
You know why?
Look, you get your pizza, right? You get the pepperonis, the onions. You want the whole combination, everything. You got all of this.
You know why I'm asking for it? Because there's no reason that he's incapable of it. If it's a matter of conditioning, if it's a matter of being in shape, it's a matter of effort defensively.
I've watched Luka Doncic since he was over in, where is it? Slovenia. I see the same player I saw in Slovenia and the same player. What's going to change in his effort outside of he going to be a little bit more in shape?
He was in better shape when he got here.
It's a mindset. He's not going to be on the all-defensive team.
Yeah, it's a mindset. So give me a little bit of effort.
What you want to slide his feet a couple more inches?
Yes, I do.
What you want?
I don't want somebody.
Just slide his feet a couple more.
I don't want somebody to beat him on a pick and roll and tell him, come here, and then move everybody out
can
and
play
roll
defense
by.
or you can't. Like
Effort though, Paul.
He does try.
The first 2 weeks he
does try. I'm trying to tell y'all.
He
Watch
made
this.
all defense the first 2 weeks.
Watch this, and we're gonna replay this tape. When the season starts for the Lakers, you're gonna be seeing all that stuff that you saw the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, I need that though.
Man, by the time December come, it's gonna be the Luka we've been seeing this whole career.
Yep.
Yeah, and I don't want that though.
But he is who he is.
No, I understand that. I just want him to
Paul, were
dig in
you
the
a
bag a
different?
little bit.
Were you a different player after you got with KG and Ray?
No, I just got noticed more.
You were the exact same player.
Yeah.
Okay.
I put the effort on defense. I was an offensive player. I shot less. I was the same player because I used to be like, well, I'm not on the all deep. Then they started recognizing my defense because I was on a team that won and we was on TV more.
But let me
I was
ask
the
you.
same player.
Let me ask you this though, because of KG and Ray, in the way they came in from a defensive standpoint, did your defensive effort increase because
my
of them?
defensive effort increased because I didn't have to give as much offensively. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have to carry as much of a burden on the offensive end. He still got to carry this burden for the Lakers next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, next year.
But we know that he can be the best player on a team that goes to a finals.
Right.
We saw him do that. But the rest of the roster has to be constructed in a way to support what he does and make up for what he doesn't do.
That's
there are very
exactly
few perfect stars.
But I want him to be perfect.
Well,
I just want him to be better.
wish in one hand.
I think he can be.
And that's perfect.
No.
Because he's damn near there already, just from the offensive end. Just give me a little bit, man.
A few more of those big squats.
Just a little bit. That's all I'm asking.
So he gonna win. I think he's gonna win MVP.
Coming up, Cooper Flagg is likely to be the first overall pick tonight. You have to hear what LeBron said about the Duke prospect. That's next on Speak. And don't forget, you can check us out every day on the Fox Sports channel on SiriusXM. The NBA draft is just hours away. LeBron James knows what it's like to be the first overall pick, and he talked about what likely first pick Cooper Flagg will be walking into. Speak up, Bron.
I personally think that he wants to be great. He had a hell of a year at Duke. A guy that can do so many different things on the floor, can play with the ball, can play without the ball. His jump shot is going to continue to get better, super athletic, quick second jump. And also, he has the benefit, unlike myself, he gets to join a team that's established.
Right.
With Hall of Fame guys, Klay Thompson, Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, right off the bat, Hall of Fame coach Jason Kidd. These guys are like, they can give him the whole blueprint while he continues to learn what his blueprint will be.
So, Paul, how fast will Cooper Flagg make an impact on the court in Dallas?
I think he'll have an opportunity to make an immediate impact because when you look at his game, like LeBron said, he can do a lot of things with the ball and he can do a lot of things without the ball. And that's important in the NBA because when you a star player, and star players usually coming up, they're ball dominant. He's not like a ball-dominant player. He can slash, he can come off screens, he can give you off the pick and rolls, and then defensively, he can guard multiple positions, and he has a motor. People don't understand that a motor is a true talent. When you're a superstar at that level that he's played at from high school to college and play with that type of motor, I can't even think of another player that's been a number one pick that I can say was like, play with this type of motor that you just say he has the potential to be an all-defensive player. He has the potential to be a very, very good offensive player because he has all the tools to get better. So I just think he'll have an immediate impact for the simple fact he has all the coaching coming up, especially being at Duke. He's mature, and he just understands. He gets it.
Yeah.
And I've been watching this kid for like the last 5 years now. I mean, I saw him at the USA practice. I saw the clips to where he's not afraid of the moment. And so I think he'll have an immediate impact, and he should be favored for Rookie of the Year because he'll have tremendous opportunity with Kyrie Irving being out on a guy that takes up a lot of the perimeter decisions.
Yeah, he should hit the ground running with no problem at all. I mean, Paul mentioned a little bit there about the clips from Team USA. He gave them fits. And so right then and there, I was sold. I'm like, he's going to be all right in the NBA, regardless to what he did at the collegiate level at Duke, because the collegiate level is systems and this and that. But you could tell when he played against Team USA in the summer that he was just different. You know, you start to look at his ability on the ball, off the ball. You start to look at his shot selection, getting to his spot, not afraid, like Paul said, at all. Because when you're this young rookies, no matter what sport it is, tend to struggle because you got to find your way.
Sure.
You know, you got to find your way. But with him, it doesn't feel that way. It feels like he's really going to hit the ground running. And another thing, having a veteran presence, players around you that's been in it and done it, calms your nerves a lot. You just, you know, and that's why teams tend to, when they draft players, they bring in veterans for those reasons. Not for the veteran to shine, but just the smart ones do, just to be able to guide you through the process. So it'll be fun to watch him play. And I guess we're all assuming he's going to Dallas, right?
Yeah, he's going to Dallas.
Yeah, I think
If he don't go to Dallas, then I'm walking. I'm down.
No.
I was shown he don't go to Dallas.
He did not say that.
I was
Run the tape back.
shown walking in tomorrow. He don't go to Dallas.
Erase it.
For show.
No.
Control yourself.
I'm a jog. It's going to be a light jog this time.
You know, Nico Harris has done some amazing things. He's done some amazing things. The 11th hour on you now. Luka, we was sleeping. We woke up. Luka gone.
True.
I'm just saying.
That's true.
You
Listen,
never know.
I don't know. Listen, he's in good graces right now.
Yeah.
I think he should stay there and do the
right thing.
do the right thing.
Like Spike Lee.
What do you think?
I would expect that he's going to make an immediate impact. It's set up for him. It's very rare that you get a number one pick that goes to a team that's already good, and they're good. You know, even without Kyrie Irving, with Anthony Davis there, P.J. Washington, Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively, they got enough guys that they're going to be good. That's. I think they're looking to sign D'Angelo Russell
Oh, okay.
Or CP3 too, huh?
to fill in. That's another possibility. Yeah, but they'll have a placeholder at the point guard spot. He, as has been said, he plays with an edge. He's got a complete game already. He's got a very mature game for a guy who's coming in as a rookie. I would say that even though Chet Holmgren missed his rookie year, his because of injury, his first full year he was 16-8, 16 points, 8 rebounds. That to me would be the bar that I'd be looking for Cooper Flagg to hit in some manner. That would be his contribution. The question is going to be if you get a D'Angelo Russell, are you going to get enough shots?
But you see me shake my head as soon as you say that.
That's kind of a high.
Yeah, I'm like.
I'm saying that is, I think he has the capability of doing that. Because I look at Holmgren, his second year, and you look at all the other talent that they had on that team. 16-8 is very impressive, but he's a number one pick and he has a complete game. If he doesn't reach it, I'm not going to say that he's a failure. But I guess what I'm saying is I think he has, I think he has the potential to have that kind of impact on that team.
Well, the good thing is that he doesn't have to be the guy. And that's what LeBron is talking about. He's going to a space where if he doesn't have that kind of year, it doesn't matter.
Right. It's not going to make or break.
He's not being brought there. It's even though, it all aligns and Luka's gone and now he's coming in. He's not coming in to be the savior of the organization or the face of the city they've got another team for that gets plenty of chatter. So he's coming into a situation where he can have a soft landing. They have a good culture. They're well coached. Like everything that LeBron said is like why this is a great situation for him to come into. Because normally you're going to a situation where not only are the expectations very high, but you are expected to turn around and become this player within a very short amount of time. He's going to have the ability to come along slower without that weight around him, and being surrounded by a lot of great veterans and experienced champions in the building, which takes a lot off of him.
Yeah. That's the only thing is, like, I love the situation of him being around veterans and stuff, but then I question, like, how will he develop? You know what I'm saying?
Because he's not going to have that much responsibility?
He's not. Because when I came in, I got a chance to just play. We wasn't expected to win. And when you get to situations like that, you kind of find your game and find out who you really going to be. He's going to go into a situation where he's going to probably have to play a role right away.
But don't you know? But the flip side of that is he's going to have to earn every minute that he gets. And I think there's some instances where you get a young player who comes in and they get minutes and they get shots and they get all that and they haven't necessarily earned it.
Yeah, but like,
and then they don't go through the process of playing at the level that they have to. Not saying that you did that, Paul. I'm just saying that happens in certain situations.
This is the mindset of a young guy who's a top pick coming in. I'm gonna tell you, like, you trying to establish your name. Like, yeah, it's okay to win, but you trying to make people know your name. You trying to show your game the things you did from high school, collegiate, to college. You're not expected to win usually lottery picks. He's going to expect to win some games and have to play a role. So I'm questioning is like who he is to who he can be. You know what I'm saying? Because we didn't know who James Harden could be until he got to Houston. Because he was around all this talent. Like it might almost have been better that Cooper went to, say, Charlotte or something.
Ain't too late.
No way.
Or something like
no way.
I
would never subject him to that and think he's going to become a player in Charlotte.
Well, I mean, this is what I'm
They
saying.
don't have the culture or the infrastructure.
Well, you don't need to have none of that when you're just trying to just hoop and you're just trying to make mistakes and don't have to worry about looking over your shoulder, which he'll have more of a rope over there in Dallas to make mistakes. But I'm just wondering, like, when you go to a team, like, even like, who's a bad team right now?
So basically you're saying he's coming in and he's as someone that is expected to eventually be the star, but he's going to start as a role player.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to show all his talents in Dallas.
No, you're right. You're right.
Because they really going to be trying to win a championship.
In the next couple of years.
Sure. But the first person I think of is Baron Davis when he went to when he was drafted by Charlotte. And Silas.
Charlotte or New Orleans?
No, where they
Charlotte.
moved.
They
moved
started
there.
in Charlotte.
But Paul Silas brought him along slowly. And Barron, in hindsight, said, like, he didn't like it at the time, but he feels like that was important to him. San Antonio's done the same thing with Victor Wembanyama his first year. They didn't just open up the gates for him. They brought him along, which is why Chet Holmgren, in his first full year, was getting all the love because his numbers were better.
San Antonio, they are a young team. They don't have veterans. You know what I'm saying?
And yet they still brought him along slowly. I've seen too many players with great potential who have been given the keys to the kingdom and they get to do whatever they want, but it's an undisciplined approach. And then when it comes to winning, they don't have the discipline. They don't have the efficiency. They're used to volume shooting.
He's a winner. You can tell.
I know, and that's why I'm not worried that if he has to play a role initially, because he already has the game.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like he almost has to develop that game. He just needs the opportunity to show it.
Right.
So I put him in a different category.
Well, from the likely first pick in the NBA draft to the last pick in the 2022 NFL draft, Brock Purdy has played in 2 NFC championships and 1 Super Bowl since then, earning himself a 5-year, $265 million contract this offseason. And teammate Ricky Pearsall said that Purdy signing his deal was, quote, super motivating for the 49ers locker room, and added that Purdy is, quote, about his business, and I really respect that. So, Key, will Brock Purdy be worth his new deal?
Yeah, he's already proven himself. I mean, everybody's looking at last year and the money that he just got, and so they feel like Brock Purdy is just, I don't know, a guy where he actually has proven that he can play in the National Football League. You mentioned the 2 championships and the Super Bowl appearance. Mm-hmm. That's a lot. There's dudes that go whole careers that don't even reach anywhere close to that. And so he's worth every single penny. I'm looking forward to him stepping on the field and just seeing what it is. We've had this conversation before he got the deal, and we're having a conversation again after he's gotten the deal on whether or not he is worth the money based on where he was drafted and what happened a year ago. Had they gone to the playoffs, for instance, and they were missing 1 or 2 players, had they gone to the playoffs, we wouldn't even be saying, is he worth the money? That conversation wouldn't even come up. But they missed the playoffs with a bunch of players banged up, and now it's like, was he worth the money? Mm-hmm. Did they overpay him? Mm-hmm. You know, and that he's shown that he can play. He's already done that.
I think that's a legitimate question. Based on where he's paid, I think he can reach there. I would not say that he's proved that he's earned this money without question.
How could he not?
Because because you're paying him top 7 or 8. Where is he on the list?
He's in the top 10.
Okay. I don't know that he's proved that he's a top 10 quarterback. I don't know that he's proved he's a top 10 quarterback.
2 NFC championship games.
Oh, well, let's not.
And a Super Bowl.
Wins and losses aren't necessarily a quarterback statistic.
It is. 1,000% it is.
What?
Yes, it is. Because if that quarterback, think about it, the quarterbacks that win, they get paid.
Yeah. Well, I know. A lot of them get paid. A lot of them get paid, and a lot of teams pay for having paid their quarterback when they haven't demonstrated that they can make other guys better.
But
that's the question with Brock Purdy.
Everybody who gets this big money at the quarterback position has done something to earn it. They're not just looking at you and going, we're going to give you $200-something million. No.
I didn't say that he has.
What Jacksonville did with Trevor Lawrence, I wouldn't have did it, but that's them.
I'm not saying that he didn't deserve a raise. I'm not saying that he shouldn't be a quarterback. The question is the number that they gave him.
I'll take that raise.
Yeah, no kidding.
What percentage raise is that?
Is he a top 10 quarterback?
1,000%.
I think he's in that conversation.
1,000%.
He's in that conversation.
Sure. I mean, to me, he's already worth his new deal because he grossly, disgustingly outperformed whatever they were paying him from the beginning. That was yuck.
Agreed.
So they went to a Super Bowl and an NFC Championship game. He has 4 playoff wins. So to me, he's already.
He's got 4 playoff wins. There's people making more money than him. Have 4 playoff wins.
Dak has 2 playoff wins. Trevor Lawrence has 1 playoff win. Justin Herbert has donut.
It's not
on stacked. It was a stacked team, and when he didn't have a stacked team, he didn't get to the playoffs.
I think
that's many quarterbacks that play on stacked teams that we don't have this conversation about.
You're right.
We shouldn't do that.
We question whether they deserve.
He didn't even reset the market, though. Had he reset the market, had he jumped, say, Dak's deal, then I think we could have that conversation. But he was going to get paid. He deserved to get paid. He earned his money. He well outperformed more than any player, maybe in the history of the sport, outperformed his first deal, being the last pick in the NFL draft and going to a Super Bowl and an NFC Championship game. So let's just split the money in half for whatever he did before he was paid until now. He's absolutely earned this money. Whether he will end up going back to or matching the results that he had with what we imagine was
he's not a pumpkin, though.
He's not. I don't think he's a pumpkin either. I don't know that he is the type of player that can make anything work. There are also 2 guys walking earth that can do that. Mm-hmm. Just because you are a paid quarterback does not mean that you're somebody that can go out there with whatever the team gives you and have success. We see that all the time. And there are guys who we think are way, way, way more physically talented than Brock Purdy who haven't done anything in this league.
I agree with that.
So we can look down their rosters and say, okay, they've had pretty good rosters too. Now they haven't had Kyle Shanahan, which I think is a big difference maker. But Brock Purdy still has Kyle Shanahan.
But he shouldn't be punished for having Kyle, though. But for whatever reason, we tend to punish him for that.
Well, the reason that we punish him for that is because we have seen Kyle Shanahan do this with all kinds of different talent.
Yep.
And
Who?
Well, Jimmy Garoppolo is
Yep.
kind of the mark.
He took the ball out of Jimmy Garoppolo's hands.
Yeah, but Jimmy Garoppolo was the human person who was playing that position.
Yep.
No, I understand. I understand.
And having success.
And having success.
No,
And having the 49ers had success. The
Not
49ers
with
had
him.
success.
No.
You say
played
the
a Super Bowl.
49ers didn't have success with
The
Jimmy Garoppolo.
defense in running the football has success.
Okay.
He threw the ball.
Hold on. But he was the person playing the quarterback.
I understand, but everybody, including Kyle Shanahan, looked at him, Joy, and said, no, you will not throw the ball anymore. We're trying to get to the Super Bowl. You're going to hand the football off in these next 2 games.
And then they said, Brock Purdy, you're going to throw the ball. We didn't get to the playoffs.
No, the team fell apart.
Okay, well, do you think Brock will be worth his deal, Paul?
Absolutely, and I'll tell you why. And not only is he worth this deal because of the things he's already accomplished, but I've been in the sports world for a long time, and I've seen people with talent, basketball, football, whatever, that got money and they fell off. I'm never going to see this issue with Brock Purdy because, for one, when you give a guy this type of money, he's already been humbled, being the last pick in the draft. What he lacks in the talent, he's going to make up with his heart, hustle, and grit and his drive because he's been at the bottom. I want to pay a guy like that felt what the bottom was all about because he's going to have that drive. Then a guy who was always great, then he get the money and fall off, he's worth every penny of this because he understands who he is and where he came from. And I have no problem giving Brock Purdy this type of money because, like you said, Joey, he didn't reset the market. He's led them. We already know how he's led the 49ers. And I know because if the coaches see him every day in practice and understand his work ethic and his drive, he's worth every penny of it. And these are the type of players I'd rather pay. Like me, I wasn't the most talented. I didn't jump as high as T-Mac or 6'9" with the overly big hands. But I worked hard, and I had drive. And I was going to be better than a lot of these cats and I see that in Brock Purdy. And that's why I don't mind giving him that money.
If I'm answering the question, will Brock Purdy be worth his new deal? I would say yes. That's the question. That's the question we asked.
Yeah.
Not
why didn't you just say
has he earned his new deal?
Yeah, he earned
and my
that.
answer would say no.
He hasn't earned it?
No.
Jeez.
No.
Will he earn it? Will he earn it? Yes. Has he earned it?
Backwards. What you're saying is backwards. He has earned it.
No.
Will he earn it moving forward is what you're unsure about. He has absolutely earned it.
Ricky. Ricky. What is
Ricky.
it that he needs to do?
What can I do for you, Keyshawn?
Hey, I ain't working for Rick.
What does he need to do?
They're going to his class.
I ain't going to his class.
What does he
I
need
ain't working
to
for Rick.
earn his money for you?
What's that?
What does he need to do to earn his money for you?
Take this team to the playoffs.
This new
This team this year. Demonstrate you can take
Without
them to the playoffs.
Debo and all the other players.
Without the cavalcade of offensive weapons that you had the last time you went to the playoffs.
I mean, he's still got Trent, McCaffrey, Ayuk.
Pearsall.
What's that?
He still has Trent Williams, McCaffrey,
He has some
Ayuk.
pieces. He has some
Drake,
pieces.
George Kittle.
He just doesn't have an
MCM.
embarrassment of riches.
CMC.
Yeah.
They're going to be.
I just want to see that he is, without a question of a doubt.
So let me ask you this,
difference
though, Rick.
maker
Let me
with
ask
this
you, because
team.
I know Joy want to move this thing forward.
Yeah.
So
I feel like I'm getting corporate key right now.
no, I'm serious though.
You're getting
Come into my
serious.
office.
So
let's have a conversation.
You really want him to take this team and get them into the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Do you think, in all honesty, don't give me Patrick Mahomes, outside of Patrick Mahomes, how many quarterbacks in the National Football League you think could have took a broken down team to the playoffs last year within that division in conference? Be honest with
No
yourself.
CMC, no Ayuk.
Be honest with yourself.
I think Josh Allen's the only one.
Joe Burrow.
No.
Joe Burrow couldn't take the beat.
Joe Burrow.
Couldn't take the Bengals to the playoffs.
Do you know how injured they were? They had no defense.
Okay, so what's the difference between having
They had no defense
and everybody
and they had
injured?
missing guys on offense.
And what's the difference?
That's
You
the-
act like he was out there with a few personal players.
What was
Right.
Joe Burrow
That's what he's
Joe
saying.
Burrow is the incorrect.
That's-
It's not the correct answer.
But
Joe
that is the
Burrow's
correct
not the
answer.
correct-
Talent-wise, Joe Burrow would have found a way.
Ricky, stop.
What was the 49ers record? What was the 49ers record?
It's
I don't remember what
Josh
the record
Allen.
is. Playoff
It's Josh
record.
Allen
Josh Allen.
and it's
What was
Patrick
their-
Mahomes.
What was Josh Allen?
I would even give you Lamar Jackson.
It's those three.
And
It's
Lamar
those
Jackson.
three
Yeah.
quarterbacks.
I got 4.
That's it.
I got 4.
It's those 3 quarterbacks.
I got
Joe
4.
Burrow had his opportunity,
I got 4. You know what?
and he failed to do so.
We're gonna find out.
Just because
we're
you're
gonna
from
have this
Cincinnati
conversation
and you
again.
got to go home every now and then, stop it.
Well, speaking of that, the Bengals gave out big money extensions to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, but are still without defensive linemen. Thank you. Trey Hendrickson and rookie Shamar Stewart, who are both holding out. The Bengals F- grade on their treatment of families from the NFL Players Association resurfaced this week, with former players describing reconnecting with families after games a, quote, bleep show.
Cheap.
Brock Purdy doesn't have to put up with that.
Bad logistics are not for me. I'm a logistics nerd. You can't make things complicated.
That's very cheap of them.
I mean, what could possibly be so complicated?
Yeah, just get a room and make it nice and have people go to the room and wait for their family. It's not that difficult.
Rick, are the Bengals holding Joe Burrow back from a Super Bowl?
I'll put it this way. If Joe Burrow wins a Super Bowl for the Cincinnati Bengals, it would be in spite of that franchise, not because of it. Because it's not just a room for the families. They've spent some money on a few players. They've still created an issue with their first-round pick. I don't understand why you do that. The language in the contract, that's silliness. Trey Hendrickson, look, he is asking for too much money for what he is, but find a way to get that done. You need to get you have a team that offensively you've put together that's capable of winning a Super Bowl. What?
You making all excuses for Joe Burrow, but go right ahead.
I'm not making excuses
That's
for Joe
why
Burrow.
he
These are legitimate factors when it comes to the Cincinnati Bengals franchise. They are last when it comes to dietetics and nutrition. Like, they don't take care of their players. They were the last team, the northernmost last team to have an indoor facility. I grew up in Cincinnati. I went to school in New Hampshire. I would much rather deal with the New Hampshire winners or the Boston winners or any of those winners over Cincinnati. Cincinnati, freezing rain is a specialty there.
Yeah.
It is the worst thing to have to do anything outside in. They were practicing in it up until 2 years ago.
I understand.
That's what this franchise
Right
is
next
about.
to the freeway.
It's a mom and pop organization, and in spite of that, Joe Burrow has gotten them to the Super Bowl.
Are the Bengals holding Burrow back, Key?
No, because Rick says he could take anybody to the playoffs and to the Super Bowl. So he should be able to just do that.
I did not say that.
He
I
should
said
just be able to
he
do
could
it.
take the Shishi 49ers to the playoffs. That's
Look,
what I said.
He made the trip in 2021. They just hired Al Golden to try to fix the defense. One of the problems for me in Cincinnati with them is really their coach, Zach Taylor, and how they start. He's been there 6 years. They're 1-11 in the first 2 weeks of the season. You can't fall behind the sticks and expect to catch up. You see what I'm saying?
Especially in that
It's
division.
not a good referendum on your training camp.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, my prediction is, hey, Zach, nice to have you here on the show. That's
he's
my
joining
prediction.
us.
That's my prediction because I believe they're going to miss the playoffs again this year.
Paul, what do you think?
They are 100% holding them back because when you have generational talent like Joe Burrow, think about this. Who do we consistently call the top 4? We say Lamar, right? What has Baltimore done in the last couple of years to help him out? They got him a running back. They got him a receiver. They got receivers. Okay, let's go. We already know Mahomes, what they try to do every year.
Yep.
All right, let's go to Buffalo. What is Buffalo doing now to try to make their generational quarterback try to win a Super Bowl? What has Philly done every year since going to the Super Bowl and then winning a Super Bowl? So when you got a player like Joe Burrow, you got to make these moves. We shouldn't be talking about weeks before camp that they're not going to pay their defense, and this is the one place where they've been lacking? Like, come on, this is the thing that's holding them back. If they were just a mediocre defense, I believe they had the 28th ranked defense around that area, if not 20th. If you were 15, 16, 17, this team could have probably went to the Super Bowl if you were just a mediocre defense. But they were below mediocre, so if they don't see that, and I hate this in all sports when you waste generational talents and you just see them like you saw Dan Marino. We seen great players in hoops just come and go because ownership. And they just want to run the business and they're not fans of the team and they don't pride themselves in their city in trying to win a championship.
I mean, they didn't get the name Bungles for nothing.
Bungles, like they bungle it up.
Yeah. I mean, Joe Burrow is absolutely a generational talent. Them getting to a Super Bowl with him, I don't want to say that it's an outlier because the defense was really
The defense was good. They had
good.
Joe Mixon at the running back
Yeah,
spot.
like they had a stacked team.
Yeah.
But in order to continue to keep competing, you've got to continue on the front office side of things to make sure that things are aligned, that you're taking care of players, that you're continuing to get better. I mean, that's why the Eagles have been where they are. That's why the Chiefs have been where they are. That's why the Niners have been where they are. They're very well-run teams from top to bottom. They have cultures, they have standards, they have expectations, and they don't
the 49ers,
rest.
right?
Yeah.
You threw the 49ers in there.
The 49ers are a good team.
Yeah, no, they're
Well-run team.
well-run organization.
Yeah, I mean, the Ravens are, the Bills are
Yep.
well-run. All these teams are well-run, and that is reflected in not just what they expect from the quarterback, but what they put around them. And listen, not for nothing, Joe Burrow doesn't play defense. So part of the reason why he was in the MVP conversation last year was because of what they were doing despite not having a strong defense. They were 25th in defense last year. That's not good enough if you expect a team to go compete.
Sure.
But I'm with you, Key. This whole start and slow thing is not working. No. Like it is, you cannot, especially in that division, fall that far behind and expect for everyone else to then trip up at the end so that you have an opportunity. You've got to start better than that.
6 seasons, 1-11.
Yeah, that's
The
unacceptable.
first 2 weeks.
It's unacceptable.
That's a fireable offense.
What did you say? You said Joe Burrow, generational talent?
Yeah.
You never said that about Brock Purdy.
Purdy, those words will never be in the same sentence.
Well, he likes it.
One was drafted,
also said
one was
about Brock,
drafted
I
at
said
the bottom of the draft,
Yeah.
and one was taken at the top.
That's absolutely.
But if they redrafted again,
What?
he ain't going Mr. Irrelevant.
Okay, where's he going?
I don't know, but he ain't going Mr. Irrelevant.
He ain't going last in the draft.
Yeah, he ain't going
Ain't
last
going
in the
number
draft.
one.
You'd think trading for Nikola Jokic would
I
be
know.
a long
Number one.
shot, but think again. We'll react to some wild comments from the Nuggets front office. That's next. Let's speak. Nikola Jokic has finished top 2 in MVP voting for the past 5 seasons, winning the award 3 times and bringing Denver their first ever title during that span. Despite all of that, Vice Chair of Kroenke Sports Entertainment, Josh Kroenke, says there's a world in which the Nuggets would trade him. Speak up, Josh.
I think that for us as an organization, going into that second apron is not necessarily something that we're scared of. I think that there are rules around it that we needed to be very careful of with our injury history. The wrong person gets injured and very quickly you're into a scenario where that I never want to have to contemplate, and that's trade number 15. And so, we're very conscious of that pushing forward and, providing the resources that we can when the moment arrives. But that second apron, is it a hard cap? I'm not 100% sure, but it's something that teams are obviously very aware of going forward.
Okay. So, bring.
Yeah.
Who's calling my phone?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, first of all, you know that media training is mandatory for NBA players every year.
It should be for owners.
It should be for executives too.
So what's
Because this
Josh,
is the second time
who
he
is that,
said
Josh
something.
Kroenke?
Yeah.
So that's his, I know that's the son, but what's his role?
He's president of the team, I think.
Okay.
Team president.
Okay.
Technically, I think he's the owner because Stan can't own the Rams and
That's correct. Multiple sports franchises at the same time.
Yeah, multiple. So his wife owns the hockey team, and
Okay.
his son owns the Nuggets.
Move.
So
They
he
know how to
owns
move it
all of
around.
them.
But here's the thing. I want to decipher what he said, okay? Because he wasn't saying that they're looking at the possibility of trading Nikola Jokic. He was saying that because of the current cap rules, and I think seeing what the Boston Celtics are having to do, which is sell off pieces to avoid the second apron and to avoid the penalties that come with this new salary cap rule, or the Phoenix Suns making the best deal they can with Kevin Durant and possibly buying out Bradley Beal, that the Denver Nuggets, and this is a very Kroenke-like thing to say, we have to be very careful with all of our contracts that we don't put ourselves in the same position so that we're not forced to do the unthinkable which is move our franchise player.
Okay, Rick, but what I heard was trading number 15 is what I heard personally, is what
Yes.
What I
and those
heard.
words should never come out of his
What
mouth.
I had heard him say was number 15 and trade is what I heard.
And those words should never be in the same sentence. I hear you.
Should they start making calls, Paul?
Man, I feel like they need to take that back.
Yeah. No, you know what he needs to do?
They need to have another press
He
conference.
can't take it back.
I was just kidding.
No, this is now. I'm just kidding.
He needs-
Y'all
I had a long night the night before. I made some mistakes.
I'm not used to being up on this podium like this with all these
Yep.
people talking.
Yes.
I'm not used to. I'm
Yeah.
not used to spotlight like y'all do it every day as hoopers.
Yeah.
Me, I'm behind the scenes most of the time. I
Yeah.
apologize, Joker. Mr. Joker, is there anything
Mr.
that
Joker.
I can do for you?
Yep.
You know what? We're gonna get some pieces for you this summer because we know you are a
We're gonna get you a
generational
farm.
talent that's
I know
dominating
you like
the league
those
right
horses.
now.
We're gonna fly some of the horses
See,
in.
I didn't hear that though. I didn't see.
You
it
weren't
that
listening
way.
right. See,
I
that's
just
you
think
gotta
you-
listen because there's between the
No, he just said, all he
sentences.
said is
If
similar
push
to what
come
Rick
to
said.
sub, then I gotta trade this asset.
Yeah, but because when you
Who's
look
pushing
at,
and shoving?
but push comes to shove, right? You look at Boston and Tatum. Tatum goes down. So the first thing, they got all this money tied up. You don't want things to implode on you. to
Yeah,
the
hold on
point-
now. The Boston Celtics traded Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday.
No, but
but
the question was
numbers-
raised: should they trade Jaylen Brown?
Yeah, and they talking about possibly doing that too because
I'm sorry.
of the number.
I didn't say. I'm not saying it.
That's why he don't know about
Calls,
Abram
Am
the
I saying
second.
this clearly?
Can we?
It's very clear.
You
By the
I
way,
don't
can
think
we
I did.
can we show the video?
I'm talking about Nikola Jokic.
Yes.
The best
You're
player
not
in the league.
trading him.
They're not trading.
But they said
They're not taking
he
calls.
He
But they
just
say they're
said
not taking calls.
Yeah, they're not taking
They're not
calls,
taking calls.
Joy.
You know what? If he's going to have a tape recording, if you call, it's going to say, "Look, this is Josh Kroenke. Forget what I said. We're not trading Nikola Jokic."
And somebody done called already, though. You already know
we
that.
have had
It's
this
not-
conversation. We have had this conversation
Yeah,
up here
I called.
about if he should want to stay there.
That's different.
This is I'm telling
Okay,
you.
so I'm not even saying the words.
I'm with you. I'm with you. It was he misspoke. Can we show the video again of him speaking? Because I want you to see Jonathan Wallace on the left. He's their
Yeah.
new director of personnel.
Look how he look at him when he
Look at
said
his face when he says it.
Yeah, he got his.
Which one? Which got the black guy?
The guy on the left.
Which left?
Which left?
No, our left.
I was gonna ask that. Who's
Which
left? You
left?
sit on the other side of
It's
us.
okay, Rick. You can say the brother.
The brother.
There you go, Rick.
There you go.
You told me to say that.
You can say it. Don't
Right?
don't do everything I tell you though. Don't.
Hey, I know better than that.
They're distinctly
No, you had to check the brother out though.
not
He said
look
it.
the
The brother
same.
was
He did.
He was like,
okay to describe what people look like. All right. Well, one trade that did reportedly happen in the Western Conference was Kevin Durant being moved from the Suns to the Rockets. KD found out that he was traded while he was on stage during Fanatics Fest, and after KD got off stage, he talked about how he felt the Suns wanted to get rid of him. Let's take a listen.
I mean, they wanted me to go, so it's like, I'm glad we both, they got what they wanted and I got what I wanted. So we can move on, and good luck to them going forward. And I always remember my time there, but we on something else.
Paul, do you feel bad for Kevin Durant?
No, I don't feel bad. Like he said, he got what he wanted. They got what they wanted. I mean, you're paying an incredibly steep price for a player of KD's magnitude and for them not to make the playoffs. And this is a domino effect that we're seeing all around the league, where you're seeing high-priced guys get moved. And in the Phoenix Suns situation, they should really consider moving Devin Booker. And this has nothing to do with Devin Booker, but if I'm Devin Booker, I would want to get out of Phoenix now, because it looks like that they're going into a total rebuild now. And Devin Booker is still in the middle of his prime. He's getting older. And I'm sure he wants to be in a situation to where he could contend for a title. So I wouldn't be shocked if in a few weeks or before the season, they have an offer for Devin Booker coming up. But KD, as far as KD, like he said, he got what he wanted. They got what they wanted. And everybody can live in harmony.
Let's go our separate ways.
And go our separate ways in a good way. No backlash amongst, player and team.
He knew it was happening for however long. Once the season was over with, the conversation started to happen, and they was going to go in a different direction. and he seems at peace with it. And had they not, he was eligible for an extension anyway, so they was going to have to pay him even more money. So they had to make a money decision. They had to do all of those things and get him gone while he still had all his value. Because if you wait till the next season is over with, that value is going to decrease, not increase. So, you know, and he knew the whole time, though. KD up there playing awesome, man. He knew the whole time what time it was.
When I read what he says, it doesn't sound the way he said it. He said it like they didn't want me. And I'm thinking, well, okay, you didn't want the Oklahoma City Thunder. You didn't want the Golden State Warriors. You're just getting kind of the other side of what you've done to teams, which is, I don't want to be here anymore. They said, we don't want you to be in here anymore. Now,
but is that because of the player or because of the commitment that they're going to have to make?
I think it's both. I think ultimately the Phoenix Suns look at what they gave up to get Kevin Durant, who wanted to come to the Phoenix Suns.
Get some of those assets back.
And they gave up multiple players and multiple first-round picks, and they didn't get what they expected, which is he's going to take us, to the very least, to the second round, if not beyond, because we were able to get to the second round without him, with Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges. And so they didn't get their return. And now it would cost them an extension.
Yeah.
And they're like, you know what? We need to make the best of a bad situation. The thing that I struggle with right now, excuse me, is whether it's KD or whether we heard LeBron James in the you know what, Cooper Flagg's just getting such a better opportunity than I had when I came in the league. What is it with our best players sounding like, you know what, I'm just not being treated the way I should be treated? It seems to be an epidemic right now, and it makes it hard for me to fully appreciate who they are as players when they say some of the things that they say. And maybe in LeBron's case, it's taken out of context because we're just hearing a snippet of what is a full podcast. But, oh, man, this woe is me for guys who are as great as they are as players. Just, it hits my ear wrong.
Well, I don't think it's a woe is me. Like if we just do they wanted me to go, and he then says, I'm glad they got what they wanted and I got what I wanted, so we can move on. I don't think he's saying it's a woe is me. I actually think he's softening it because he's saying this was kind of a mutual decision. Like KD knew when they didn't make the playoffs that this was a wrap. Of course, everyone knew that you're not going to continue to pay the highest bill in the league and not make the playoffs. Yeah. That's not acceptable, and it doesn't even make sense. That being said, the Suns are not a well-run organization in any capacity. I mean, I think that's pretty well known at this point.
Certainly the last few years. Certainly since Matt Ishbia took over.
Go back a little further than that.
They did go to the finals prior to that.
Okay.
But I hear what you're saying, Joy.
Yes, like an outlier, I think, is safe to say at this point. Like, this is not an organization that I'm looking at like, okay, this is clearly just KD's fault.
I'm not going to say that the previous ownership was stellar either. That's fair.
Yeah. So I think it's a mutual decision, and it's something that we all knew was coming. So I don't think I don't like feeling bad for him. I think he's literally saying that this was a mutual decision. I wanted to go, they wanted to go. We all did this in a kind of, in a really pretty smooth way. Like, we knew that this was going to happen. The only thing that was a headline about it is that he was on stage when it happened. Coming up, the Chiefs took a major blow, losing to the Eagles in the Super Bowl by 3 scores. But how will that impact where they rank on Key's big list? Stick around to find out next on Speak. Now that all NFL teams have finished minicamp, Key has an updated big list of his power rankings. What is the list, Key?
Yeah, it's all about the Super Bowl and what I think could potentially happen along the way, because when you go into minicamp, free agency, things of that nature, we had a list, but we hadn't had one in several months. But we're going to start off at number 7, the Buffalo Bills. I had the Bills at number 6 after the Super Bowl, but I dropped them down one spot. Josh Allen will remain and still is the MVP. No question about it. They're tied for the best. Will you stop, Paul? They're tied for the best Super Bowl odds.
Tied for the best Super Bowl odds, and they 7? That's wild.
With the Ravens and the Eagles. Number 6, Joy will love this, but Joy will also hate on this. The New York Jets. I have the Jets winning the AFC East When Aaron Glenn took over, I said this was going to happen. Aaron Glenn will turn the franchise around, no question about it. Number 5, the San Francisco 49ers. Got Brock Purdy his extension. He got paid, expecting Christian McCaffrey to be back healthy. The core is intact. They still there. Don't worry about it. They sit where they sit. Now stop, Paul. Number 4, the Chargers only expect improvement from them after last year. Harbaugh's second season, Justin Herbert only had 3 picks in 17 games last season. And my boy, Ladd McConkey, will continue to wreak havoc on the National Football League in his second season. Number 3, the Ravens. The Ravens can never count. You can never count out the Ravens with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry in the lineup. They slowly inching closer and closer and closer to the Super Bowl. Throughout his career, Lamar Jackson has given them an opportunity, and he'll give them another one. Number 2, Paul's favorite team today. The Washington Commanders and Jaden Daniels has added weapons in Deebo Samuel. The head coaches is back. The coordinators are back for this next season before they depart after trying to upseed the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles sit at number 1 as the reigning Super Bowl champs, co-favorites to win it again this season. So this is the big list. After mini camp, so to speak, I know what y'all gonna say. Y'all gonna throw stuff at me, get mad at me. I know. Man, could I? Please. Why you beating me up, Joy?
Where are the Chiefs?
Well, here's why.
the Chiefs.
Okay, so here's my explanation in terms of the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't believe that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be in it, as I've said so far. They're going to take a step back. And I understand Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce is in better shape now and doing all those things. They get Rashee Rice back. But I just think they take a little bit of a dip where the Chargers take a dip up.
So you think that the Chargers are going to win the division?
So how could I have Kansas City if they not going to win the division? How could I have them here? I can't put them there. I think the Chargers in the second season with Coach Harbaugh, Justin Herbert only threw 3 interceptions last year, Joy. Okay? He don't tell me anything about the playoffs. I get it. He threw the ball to the other team a lot.
I don't know if I would use the interception stats.
Well, he only threw 3 in the regular season, so you win in the division based on the regular season.
He made up for it in the playoffs.
But I don't think that that'll happen come the postseason. So when you start to look at the New York Jets, you say, well, what about the Bills? What about the Bills? I'm all in on the Jets and Aaron Glenn. I'm just all in on them.
Keyshawn has picked the Jets to win the division this year.
Yeah, and I've seen teams come out of nowhere where people didn't think they were going to be good at all.
Right.
You just look at the Washington Commanders. I've been in a situation with the New York Jets where all of a sudden we get Bill Parcells, and I'm not saying Aaron Glenn is Bill Parcells by no stretch of imagination, but you bring a different focus and energy into a building that already had some talent. Now you got a new quarterback in Justin Fields. We know what Wilson is at the receiver position. We understand their defensive front. We know Sauce Gardner. We know Breece Hall. They got a hell of a team. They just retooled the offensive line. So I think they win the division. But I also think Buffalo finishes second in the division. And Buffalo finishes second in the division. They might go on a run and win the damn thing. But these 3 teams from 1 to 3, they remain the same as the list that I put out 4 months ago or so. Now I changed this up. The 49ers are back in action, right? They're healthy again. I understand that Deebo Samuel is now with Washington, and we're going to see what happens with IU coming back. They got Jennings. They got Pearsall, CMC. They still got Trent Williams. They still got Bosa, Fred Warner, Diamador Lenore. I like San Francisco in this situation. And you'll say to me, what about the Rams? Well, they might be at 8. Who knows? But this is the list this week.
This might be your worst list, Key.
Man, be quiet, Paul.
No, I'm saying with all due respect.
Okay.
Just out of respect, Chiefs got to be here. And even if they take a dip, think about this. They went 15-1.
I understand.
With Mahomes as quarterback. So say, we're going to take a slight dip. Well, they were here. It was still in them. So where's the slight dip at?
They might have dipped all the way to 8. They might have dipped to 8.
They fell off the board.
You cannot continue to just win.
So Mahomes?
It don't matter.
I mean, they have pretty
Brady won 3 in a row, and he didn't get back for 10 years with a W on winning. He the greatest quarterback ever.
Best odds to win. That's 7?
Yeah, man, that's what I feel. It's my damn list.
I get it.
I made this list, not you.
I get it.
Or Joy.
I get it.
That's why there's tomatoes everywhere today.
That's why there's tomatoes
You
everywhere.
had a good
This is
run.
your
You had a
first
good,
one.
you had a good
This is
run.
your first
I had a good run.
You
See?
had a good run in
Now I had a good
tomatoes.
run.
Just like the Chiefs had a good run, you had a good run.
You had a good run on
You
the
fell off
tomato
now.
list. Coming up, Cooper Flagg isn't the only guy in the draft that can throw down big dunks. Paul Pierce breaks down his top prospects ahead of tonight's NBA draft. That's next and Speak.
Y'all throwing tomatoes at me out.
Welcome to the NBA draft.
Bailey with some runaway. A full house gets his ace.
He's got to pull up for three.
Edgecombe at the basket. Oh, my. He's got an extra gear. He's electric. Into the paint. Hangs and hits. Wow.
Harper splits the double and powers it down.
Harper just finds a way on the roll. Harper on the move. Right to the bucket. What a jam. Oh, my Trey Johnson. Trey Johnson. Deep shot. Soft touch for Trey Johnson. Here is Flagg on the run. And the stop. Nobody guards Cooper Flagg. Hands is set away by Cooper Flagg. Flagg on the attack. Slams it down. Oh, my.
All the players selected tonight have their own unique story that led them here to the draft. Let's get started.
The NBA draft is tonight, and Paul, young Paul,
Oh, man.
is ready to break down his top 3 prospects. Take it away, Paul.
Man, check this out. The draft is going to change the lives of so many young men tonight. Let's get started with potential generational talent. Everybody knows about Cooper Flagg's game, but I want to highlight something that a lot of people aren't talking about. His playmaking skills. They are vastly underrated. Now look, he led Duke in assists this year. I don't know if a lot of people know. He has the ability to play on the ball, off the ball, but look at this. When he gets to the rack, he makes the lob pass going down the middle. This is going to complement Dallas so well because they're not going to have Kyrie for the beginning of the year, or they may not have him all year, but he has the ability to do this, hand the ball off to guys like Anthony Davis, Garland, and these guys. He's going to be a special talent. Boy, I'll tell you, because we know about his scoring. We know about his shooting. We know what he did against the Team USA. Head coach Jason Kidd made Giannis play point guard when they were together in Milwaukee. His NBA comp to me is Andre Karolinko, but with a higher offensive upside. Yes, I said Andre Karolinko because he was terrific. He had a motor. But this guy, he's a step better than that. I think he's going to be special. Next up, Rutgers star Dylan Harper, going number 2 to San Antonio. The best part about him, he doesn't need to have the ball to impact the game consistently. Moving without the ball, elite cutting, but will be a good compliment to Wemby. Check this out. This guy just keeps moving. Look, as a rookie, they're not gonna just give him the ball. He's gonna have to move out the ball, find his open spots. I mean, and he's great at that. We already know what he can do with the ball, but check this out. He doesn't start moving, sets another screen, bam, back door. That's high IQ for me right there. That's high IQ. His NBA comparison for me is Cade Cunningham. And we know what Cade has been doing in the NBA thus far, becoming an all-star, becoming an all-NBA player. And next up, last but not least, I have VJ Edgecombe out of Baylor going to Philly at number 3. I want to highlight his athleticism. Look at these dunks. Look at him. This man, he can get off the ground. I'm trying to tell you. Ooh, you better watch your head. Philly needs some excitement with Embiid's injury history. You can rebuild with him and Tyrese Maxey, 24-year-old. He's 24. And Jared McCain, another young guy. Man, days might be coming to an end for guys like Embiid, maybe Paul George. They may need to go young because Philly, I don't see them having a bright future with the core they have there. But if they can build around these young guys, they may have something in the future. And look, here's his NBA comparison. Anthony Edwards, and we know what he's doing. This is my draft, y'all. Tell me what y'all think, because these 3 guys, look, they have a bright future in the NBA. So watch out, draft. Here they come.
Great stuff, Paul. You were selected 10th overall by the
10th.
Celtics
Man.
in the 1998 draft.
Still pissed. Still, man, look at that. Young Pete, dang.
You did all the right things.
I did all the right things.
That innocent young man.
Here, zoom in.
Man,
You had all the red flags, man. Come on.
I had no red flags, Key. I was a hard worker. I went to the University of Kansas, Key.
I know.
Hey, that should say enough right there. Clean cut right there. Didn't take no money. Did it the right way. Wore cold tie.
No, I know you didn't take no money. They gave you the money. What the hell you mean, take the money? They gave you the money.
Your experience like draft night?
Man, draft night is just a special night, man. I just remember being amongst my peers, guys who I've been playing against in high school and college, walking around my video cassette recorder. And I actually have the tape. I should have brought it. The tape from my draft, me walking around with the video cassette recorder, all behind the scenes and stuff like that. See, people don't know what this is. This is when we had we didn't have iPhones back then. But it was a special moment, enjoying it with my family, my friends, the closest people to me. And I just couldn't get no sleep with the anticipation. It was like, this was my first suit I ever got. I didn't have nothing but clip-on ties and one sport coat when I was at Kansas. Man, I got a suit. I thought I was clean. Look at that.
The high fade, though.
But Key was like, why you button up your jacket when you got the vest on? I don't know. This is my first time with a suit, Key. I thought I was fresh right here. The three-piece, look. Hey, look, that right there still look good today. You know, some of these draft suits look outdated. I was looking cracking right there.
No, that was cool. You look good, man.
The mono.
It was clean.
Monochromatic.
It was a special night.
It's good.
Yeah, it still look good. It
kind of fit, you know?
Yeah, it don't look outdated still. You know, it's
I barely recognize that dude.
Man,
Dang.
Man, a lot of miles.
Skinny.
A lot of miles. You know what I'm saying? A lot of miles, a lot of gray hairs, and a lot more weight.
What advice would you give to these soon-to-be draftees heading into tonight's draft?
Man, the advice I would give to the young fellas when you get drafted, listen, when you get to camp, when you get to practice, man, get up under one of these veterans that's been there for a while. Ask questions. Ask them what their routine is. You got to get a routine. If you want to be great, you want to be consistent, get behind one of the veterans. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to get there early and listen. Listen. I've seen rookies come in that just wouldn't listen. Like, man, rookie, meet me here at about 8 a.m. 8 a.m., practice ain't till 11. I told you, meet me here at 8. Like, see, and those guys, they're out the league fast. Like, you talking to a guy that I played 19 years. Well, I was in the league 19, played 17. Last 2 years, you know.
12, but go ahead.
You got paid for 19 years.
I got paid for 19 years. So get behind one of those vets, ask a lot of questions, and just, like, enjoy the moment. Because, think about this. It's 30 guaranteed coming in every year. Mm-hmm. So if you don't make your mark that year, it's 30 more players coming in.
Yeah.
So do your job, get behind one of these vets that's been there for a while, listen to what they got to say, and maybe one day you'll be like Paul Pierce.
You came in a lockout year.
Yes.
That was your first season. I'm wondering, like, your preparation, because you talk about going to camp and all that, but yours was delayed.
Much different.
What was that like for you, not knowing when camp was going to start? And
so
what did you do in the meantime?
So they were like, listen, there's a lockout. I was actually going to the meetings as a rookie, like not playing no games in New York. They were like, listen, it got to be like
the negotiations for the new CBA.
Yeah, so it's like it got to be September, October, November. They like just stay ready. You know, the lockout can lift any day. So I'm working out every day, getting in shape. So this going along all the way until January, I believe it got lifted. Right? So and this is a situation to where some guys got so far out of shape they never bounced back. You know what I'm saying?
You mean rookie guys?
Guys that was in the league.
In the league.
They thought that the season was probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
I was just at the gym every day. I didn't even have no trainer. I'm going to the beach, going to the stairs, getting shots up. I'm going to UCLA. And then when they was like, hey, be in Boston in 2 days, I had to get up and go. But I was ready. But it was a unique situation, just not knowing. So you just prepping every day.
So when did you sign? Because were you working out not having signed yet?
I don't remember that part. I don't remember if.
So you were still living off of the Kansas money at that point.
No, So this is what I had. You're right. I didn't have no money. So I signed an agent, and then I got a loan for like about $200,000. Yeah. And then I remember I gave boom, boom, and mom, boom, boom, boom. Mom, take that. I got me an apartment You know, I want to be on my own. I want to still be in Inglewood. Like, I just got drafted. I need to be over here. I got me a new navigator. I'm rolling around, blowing the TVs in it. I went to the Marina City Club, got an apartment over there.
Of course. Of course. That's what I say with the Marina.
And I was working out every day, but it was just like, you know, it was like, here you go, Mom. It just felt good.
That's a unique situation because you didn't get paid right away.
I didn't get paid. I took a loan out from the bank and just like kind of passed it around until we got the
loan. The bank knew you were good for it.
Yeah, they was like,
at some point, you're going to be good for it.
So that was a unique situation, though, but it worked out.
What did they play, half a season?
Yeah, we played 50 games. And this is crazy because, look, we
Houston
played.
What's that?
Houston won that year, right?
No,
San Antonio.
The Spurs won that year
They
versus
beat the Knicks.
So it was interesting because we was having games, we might have 3 in a row games, back to back to back, because they was trying to squash the season in. We was having weeks where we played 4 games in 5 nights, which they don't do that. It was back to back, 1 day off, back to back. And like on some days, in some weeks, 5 games in 7 nights.
Well, coming up, Aaron Rodgers didn't sign with the Steelers in time to show up for OTAs, but he was doing something to help prepare him to be in Pittsburgh. We'll explain next on Speak.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Between two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN, you try to be in control of how your info is protected. But many other places also have it, and they might not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast for 40% off. Terms apply.
Aaron Rodgers did not sign with the Steelers until after they finished organized team activities, but he did attend mandatory minicamp. Yesterday, Rodgers said that before he signed with Pittsburgh, he talked to Mike Tomlin every single week, and it felt like he was talking to an old friend. So, Key, did we overreact to Aaron Rodgers not attending non-mandatory OTAs?
1,000%. But he hadn't signed yet.
Yeah, he didn't work there, so like,
make sure to let the people know that.
I didn't know that he didn't work there because they Google charges me for alerts.
Enjoy made the mistake of saying that Aaron Rodgers worked for the team.
It's not free for me, so I didn't.
But yeah, it was an overreaction by many people. Because as I said before, and the whole time, I said they done had a conversation. Or they're having conversations ongoing and he's getting information because that's just the way it goes. I mean, it's just, you know, you don't have to be at OTAs, but I need you at mandatory situations. Non-mandatory, it doesn't matter. You know, he's a veteran player. It was like 6 to 8 days. It's not,
nothing matters.
It's not the end of the world.
No,
just get here for mandatory, and that's what he did.
Paul, what do you think?
Once he signed.
Yeah, we definitely overreacted, but, you know, all is good now. He's at mandatory. Everybody's on the same page. You know, everything is good now.
I don't. We'll see if we overreacted.
Yeah.
If they win, we didn't overreact. If they don't win, we'll revisit.
Don't win, they're going to say it's
coming up. AFC North football is usually played in the cold, but one Browns player says that he refused to go back in the game because of the weather. Stick around for our reaction to that next on Speed.
He for sure didn't read my book. Because that ain't in there.
That ain't in there, huh?
Last season with the Ravens, wide receiver Deontay Johnson refused to go into a game against the Eagles that resulted in him being suspended and eventually released by Baltimore less than 2 months after the team traded for him, and he recently revealed why he didn't want to play that day. Speak up, Deontay.
I wasn't getting into, like, no run plays, no, like, passing plays, no nothing.
Wasn't it cold as you said?
Yeah, it was cold. In the third, going into the fourth or whatever. They're like, Tay, we need you. I'm like, nah, I don't think to me, I don't think it's a good idea for me, like, because, like, I was thinking about, like, my legs, I don't want to go out there and put bad stuff on film.
Right.
And it's not like I didn't want to go in the game, but you got to think, like, leading up to this point, I done been through so much. I told him I wasn't going in. I was like, I understand what you're saying, like, but I'm not going to go in. So I just sat on the bench. And then that's when they suspended me.
Does this happen in more games than fans realize, Ski?
I've never been on a team with a guy that refused to go in a game when asked to go in. Because if that would have happened, you know, I was on teams with a lot of veterans. We'd have put our hands on them. But I've been on teams with guys that checked out of the game. No, we'd have put our hands on them for real. Well, seriously. But
What are you gonna do? Drag him on the field?
No, you just gonna get into confrontations with him because you
gonna
leaving
jump
us
him?
out there. You leaving us out there all by
You gonna
ourselves.
jump him?
No, for real though, Joy. No. We telling you to go into the game, and you decide you don't want to go in because you cold. Come on, bro, stop. We're not doing that.
I'm surprised.
Not on the teams that I was on.
I'm surprised he got picked back up because that type of mentality, that ain't teamwork.
But I've been on teams with dudes that sat down because they was getting their rear end kicked and they all of a sudden
Well, yeah, I
came
mean,
up
that's
with
what,
an injury.
that's
Like,
what-
oh, my shoulder hurt. And then when
That's what
the camera
Aaron did
panned
last
to him,
year.
So who picked him up?
Baltimore picked him back up for like Cleveland picked him up.
There we go.
Cleveland picked him up.
There we go.
Yeah, Cleveland.
Coming up, he put together an awesome digital series featuring LA legends like Paul Pierce, Cheryl Miller, and Ice Cube, and we'll tell you more about it next on Speak.
You know, we all grew up in LA. How did it shape y'all?
For some strange reason, I was just like, man, I want to put LA on the map. I want to build a legacy here.
It really shaped my mentality. It shaped my attitude.
I'll never forget the first conversation I had with Michael Cooper. He was like, you went out here in LA, you will be forever adopted, loved.
It's crazy because I seen someone that I used to employ. When I think of LA, it's really only one person for me, and that's you.
They was like, yo, do you want to bring the Dodgers out in game one?
What's your favorite lyric you ever written?
Just waking up in the morning, gotta thank God.
Growing up in the hood, you either look like Prince, Michael Jackson. Everybody had a look in the 80s, but they was gangbangers, though. They were still gangbangers.
I never had a curl, but I understand.
Being a kid and being 12, 13, being able to feel the moments of Kobe Bryant.
I said, man, let me go rebound for Kobe. You know, give him a light closeout.
A light closeout.
The first episode of LA Legends drops on Monday, featuring Keyshawn talking with an LA player panel of Paul Pierce, Baron Davis, and Deshaun Jackson. So, Key, tell us about your new All Facts LA Legends series for Fox Sports Digital.
So we're doing 8 episodes. The first one you mentioned drops on Monday with just legends in the LA sports arena in terms of the area of sports and entertainment. You saw Ice Cube there, some of the NWA, Paul Pierce will be in it, Cheryl Miller's in it. I mean, we got it's just a whole list. Brandon Jennings, you know, and then we're gonna continue to keep doing it, but it's gonna be fun. It's just different than the normal podcast. You know, normal podcast is like me and you talking and talk about sports. This is something totally different.
The LA Legends.
Yeah, LA Legends.
That's it for us. Enjoy the NBA draft tonight. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern.